Acts chapter 17. Now when they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, where was a synagogue of the Yehudim. And Paulos, as his custom was, went in to them, and for 3 Shabbath days reasoned with them from the Scriptures, opening and alleging that it behooved the anointed to suffer and to rise again out of dead ones, and that this Yeshua, whom, said he, I proclaim to you, is the anointed. And some of them were persuaded, and consorted with Paulos and Silas, and of the devout Greeks a great multitude, and of the chief women not a few. But the Yehudim, being moved with jealousy, took to them certain vile fellows of the rabble, and gathered a crowd, set the city on an uproar, and assaulting the house of Yason, they sought to bring them forth to the people. And when they found them not, they dragged Yason and certain brothers before the rulers of the city, crying, These that have turned the inhabited earth upside down are come hither also, whom Yason hath received, and these all act contrary to the decrees of Caesar, saying that there is another king, one Yeshua. And they troubled the multitude and the rulers of the city when they heard these things. And when they had taken security from Yason and the rest, they let them go. And the brothers immediately sent away Paulos and Silas by night to Beroia, who, when they were come thither, were going into the synagogue of the Yehudim. Now these were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of the mind, examining the Scriptures daily, whether these things were so. Many of them therefore believed, also of the Greek women of honourable estate, and of men not a few. But when the Yehudim of Thessalonica had knowledge that the word of God was proclaimed of Paulos at Beroia also, they came thither likewise, stirring up and troubling the multitudes. And then immediately the brothers sent forth Paulos to go as far as to the sea, and Silas and Timotheus abode there still. But they that conducted Paulos brought him as far as Athens, and receiving a command to Silas and Timotheus that they should come to him with all speed, they departed. And Paulos, waiting for them in Athens, perceiving the city being utterly idolatrous, his spirit was being provoked in him. So he reasoned in the synagogue with the Yehudim and the devout persons, and in the marketplace every day with them that met him. And certain also of the Epicurean and the Stoic philosophers encountered him. And some said, What would this babbler say? Others, He seemeth to be a setter forth of strange gods, because he was announcing Yeshua and the resurrection. And they took hold of him and brought him to the Areopagus, saying, May we know what this new teaching is, which is spoken by thee? For thou bringest certain strange things to our ears. We would know therefore what these things mean. Now all the Athenians and the strangers sojourning there spent their time in nothing else but either to tell or to hear some new thing. And Paulos stood in the midst of the Areopagos and said, Men, Athenians, in all things I perceive that ye are very religious. For as I passed along and observed the objects of your worship, I found also an altar with this inscription, To an unknown God. What therefore ye worship in ignorance, this I set forth to you. the God that made the world and all things therein, he, being Lord of sky and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is he served by men's hands, as though he needed anything, seeing he himself giveth to all life and breath and all things. And he made of one every nation of men to dwell on all the face of the earth, having bordered appointed seasons and the bounds of their habitation, to be seeking the God, if perhaps they might feel after him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being, as certain even of your own poets have said. For we are also his offspring. Being then the offspring of the God, we ought not to think that the God nature is like gold or silver or stone, graven by art and device of man. The times of ignorance, therefore, the God overlooked. But now he commandeth all the humans everywhere to be repenting, inasmuch as he hath appointed a day in which he will judge the inhabited earth in righteousness by a man whom he hath ordained, whereof he hath given assurance to all men, in that he hath raised him from dead ones. Now, when they heard of the resurrection of dead ones, some mocked, but others said, We will hear thee concerning this yet again. Thus Paulos went out from among them. But certain men clave to him and believed, among whom also was Dionysios the Areopagite, and a woman named Damaris, and others with them.